What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today I want to talk about F1 2018 career mode. How can we improve, what needs to change, and what have Codemasters done right? Because in my last video I talked about the online aspect of the F1 games, and I was very critical about that side of the franchise. However, the single player experience, take nothing away from Codemasters, they've done a great job. There are a lot of things that they do right, but yeah, it's important not to lose sight of the things that they do right, but let's also look at how we can improve for future titles, because it's still not perfect. Even though most of the attention does get diverted to career mode, there are still things that need to be tweaked just to make things a little bit more enjoyable for all of us, whether it be just casual players or the die-hard league racers that often do career mode as well. So I'm going to dive straight into this. This list will be a little bit shorter than what you saw in the online video, but I still think this list is still important nonetheless. So I'm going to start with the two elephants in the room. The first of which is, I feel like career mode is too easy in the F1 game franchise. We need to see player reliability failures. Too many times in previous seasons of this game, I have won the championship by means of other AI drivers retiring because of A, grid penalties, and just not being able to challenge me, or B, just retiring in the Grand Prix and just giving away 25 points to me. I look to F1 2006, F1 Championship Edition. That game is brutal. It shows no remorse, like no mercy, and it's, for some reason, it just has me thinking about that game all the time and the challenge. And I still haven't won the championship yet on that game, despite doing 3.5 seasons. And there's just this burning desire to go back to that game and just get that championship win. That's what the Codemasters F1 game franchise is missing. I feel like they kind of hand out championships a little too easily in these current games, and player reliabilities, and just a little bit more. It just needs to be harder. It needs more character, if that makes sense. So if it is a little bit more brutal, then for me it makes it more rewarding for when you do win. Feels like more of a achievement and accomplishment. Winning the championship in the McLaren, building my way back through being a backmarker to winning the championship, then that was very satisfying. However, now I'm in the Red Bull, and I'm probably going to win the championship in this season in career mode, but I don't really feel like I've earned it too much because of how much reliability issues my championship rivals have had. So that's that out of the way. The other massive the massive elephant in the room, part 2, is the fact that R&D upgrades do not apply correctly to the teammate in career mode. This as well has also contributed to the fact of me getting bored of career mode and just not being challenged, because when you upgrade your car, you get more of a boost than what your teammate does. And when I started off the career mode series, Alonso was spanking me. He was unstoppable. He was very competitive. He was the best part of almost half a second at some tracks faster than what I was. I couldn't challenge him, and as the upgrades rolled through, I became more and more competitive. And now it's got to the point in Season 3, Season 4, where I'm the best part of a second faster, a second and a half faster at tracks where I'm strong. And yeah, it's just not realistic. It's not fun. You don't get that sense of achievement when you beat your teammate now, because it's almost like a certainty. And when your teammate does beat you now, it's almost like, what have I done wrong? If that makes sense. So I know Codemasters will sort that out. Like, that was the biggest glaring issue of F1 2017, was the fact that R&D upgrades weren't working properly for teammates. So they weren't able to fix that for 2017. I hope that they've diverted their resources and gone behind the scenes to really fix that issue, because, like I said, it was an absolutely terrible, almost glitch in the game that couldn't be fixed. So next up we have, would be nice to have the ability to have teams upgrading at different speeds, almost like a randomizer or a reset after maybe 1 or 2, probably 2 seasons, just to shake up the performance a little bit, because all the other computer-controlled teams in career mode, they all upgrade at essentially the same pace. You can be 5 seasons into career mode, and the order is relatively the same for teams that you haven't been to. So, for example, I brought McLaren to be the fastest car. But that's because I worked with them for 3 seasons. But every other team that I didn't drive for, the order is still the same. So can we, I mean, it would be nice if teams could upgrade at a different pace, or every 2 seasons we have a slight refresh of the performance standings. That way, to keep things fresh, we get new rivalries, new people to battle with, and it just makes it a little less predictable. Pre-season testing in career mode, we've seen this in other games, for example, like F1 2006. I feel like it would be a nice addition to have at least just like a time frame before the season starts for us to either upgrade the cars, do some kind of challenge that can boost our resource points for the start of the season and get that budget going. Because like when you switch to a new team, you start off with 0 resource points and you almost have no direction in where you want to take the car going forward. I feel like it would be nice if you get allocated that resource points before you start the new season, so you can direct where the performance is going. And also to add to the pre-season stuff, like, yeah, just maybe have a pre-season event at Barcelona. Just we have like one big long practice session where we just do laps, and the more laps you do, the more resource points you get. You can have like a subset of you know, challenges or tasks that you have to do in that time frame, whether it be complete 20 laps, do a certain amount of laps on a certain tyre compound, do heavy fuel runs, test out a new front wing, whatever it be, and just, I don't know, have that challenge of pre-season, because there's something really exciting about the pre-season test that I find to be really interesting, whether it be you're jumping in the new car for the first time and you want to sandbag your pace, maybe chuck in as much fuel as you can get in there, and then see how high up the order you can get, even though you're really sandbagging, and just get a little bit of confidence before you start the season. Just that little element I feel like is missing in the F1 games, and I feel like that'd be a really nice addition, and it would have some function as well, because you can get resource points and apply those resource points before the season starts. This one is a little bit more of a stretch, but I would love to see reserve drivers in practice 1 sessions. We see this quite a bit, especially in the second half of the season. In Formula 1, you know, reserve or third drivers coming in, getting some experience in the car, and I feel like this would be, I don't know, something, a nice little change up to see different drivers. And if a reserve driver was to step in my car, for example, they take over in practice 1, maybe they could do some of the practice programs for me and earn those resource points for me, if that makes sense. So they could maybe do track acclimatization and maybe a tire wear test, but maybe they don't get the perfect score. Maybe they get like green. So they've earned you some resource points for the almost inconvenience of displacing you out of a car for a practice session, but you still get resource points, and if you want to, you can still go back and perfect that score, if that makes sense. Maybe even have teammates contribute to the resource points as well, so it isn't so much of a burden for the first driver or for the player. Just throwing that out there, but yeah, I think that's cool. I think it's a bit overdue. Reserve drivers are a huge part of F1 and the development of their cars, so I don't see any reason why we can't have them, possibly in the future, 2019. Moving on to the next thing, this is just a minor thing that I would like to see and help setting up the car in practice, is I'd like to see a full list of the speed trap results. So I want to know if I'm running too much downforce, say if I'm like 20th in the speed traps, or if I'm first in the speed traps. I want to know how I can balance my car a little bit better to get the most performance out of the car. Like, you can see where every other driver in the field is with their speed trap results when you spectate them in a session, but you can't see where you stand, and I'd just like to know where we place in the order. That'd be nice. Moving on, we could further add some immersion to the career mode by almost bringing back press interviews. For example, we could have like the press pen, where drivers after each session go down into this media like square or box, and they answer a bunch of questions from different media outlets. And in career mode we could have that too, maybe to a more dumbed down degree, maybe just have one interview, and we get, you know, 4 choices to choose from, and it can be an aggressive response, we can have like a conservative one, a nice one, we can have one where we lash out at other drivers or other teams or whatever else, and depending on what your response is, you'll get feedback from the world of Formula 1, and that might affect your chances of signing with another team. You might get bad press in the media. I don't know, stuff like that, just to add to the immersion a little bit better, because we had that in 2010 to some degree. Teams had a feeling about you and how you reacted to the press, and that would affect how you would go in getting drives with other teams. I just feel like that's something that's been lacking. We've had it in the past, so why can we not have it now? Career mode, I feel like, is really nailed down as a solid platform. I feel like now is the time to start adding in these other features. We've nailed down the R&D now. Let's focus on the immersion maybe a little bit better, a little bit more on the racing. For example, I'd love to see more aggressive AI. That's always a welcome change from me, because nothing can really compare to online and how unpredictable a player can be. I just wish the AI were a little bit more unpredictable, a little bit more aggressive, and would overtake you and go for dive bombs a little bit more. That would be a welcome change for me. And again, that harps back to having a game that is more unforgiving, more challenging, and more rewarding when you do beat the AI. So that's pretty much everything. I do have one final point which I'd like to touch upon, and that is driver transfers. I know that this is falling on deaf ears when it comes to Formula 1 management, but I still feel like it should be thrown out there. Like, the consumers out there of the F1 game, we really want to see driver transfers. We want to see Lewis Hamilton go off to Ferrari. We want to see, chopping and changing of the order, and just freshening up the career mode, because it does get very repetitive after one season. All the teams staying the same performance-wise relative to each other, drivers staying all in the same cars, and yeah, the AI just not being challenging enough. And I think all these factors point towards it just getting boring after a while. I think if you implement some of these things and just make it more unpredictable, just change it up a bit, and just makes me want to play the game for longer. Because yeah, like I said, a few of those things, the game not being hard enough and just the repetitiveness of career mode, is just bored me out of career mode after 7 or 8 months of the game's life cycle. There's still a good 5 months to go until the next game at least. So that's my standing. If there's anything I missed in this list, then feel free to let me know. There probably has been a few things I have missed, but for the most part, I feel like Codemasters do a great job of the career mode side of things. The cars feel great to drive. For the most part, R&D and the upgrades and everything they've done in the last couple of years in that side of things has been absolutely awesome, and I applaud them to continue with that, because the upgrade and the technical side of things has really advanced, whether it be engine management, gearbox, all that stuff is great, but I feel like we need the game to be a little bit harder, a little bit less predictable, and I think we'll have a good career mode experience going forward. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 gaming videos. Hopefully we'll hear some news about F1 2018 fairly shortly, with the new season kicking off this month. We might, hopefully, I don't know, just get a bare announcement about the game being out this year. We might see some screenshots hopefully soon. Fingers crossed. I'm really excited about what F1 2018 can possibly bring. There's been no testing for the beta, so that says to me that they've pretty much done all their focus on the R&D. That was the main focus of the last 2 years of us going to the beta testing, whereas we haven't been invited this year, so I think they've got that nailed down. So hopefully they're focusing on something different, whether it be inside career mode or whether it be online itself. So I'm really excited to see what they're working on, because at the moment all of us are in the dark. So really looking forward to what the future holds for F1 2018. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry about the rambling. This often happens in these kind of videos. And yeah, I'll see you next time.
When the lights go down.